Hello, and welcome to Jarviskjir Horn of Plenty. It feels like it's been forever, but it's just been, like, a week off. But time is going at a snail's pace this summer.
COVID is the #1 killer of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Time is no longer with us.
It's the both, you know, things are going too slow and too fast. I spent, like, 4 hours today being like... Whoa. You know? So I was just awake too early. Too early. Now that non-sequitur is out of the way.
For the last 2 weeks or so, just waking up and going, okay, another day in purgatory. Awesome.
It is, it's purgatory.
I can't lick my girlfriend's lips. Neither of them. I can't hug my...
Is that necessary?
I'd like to remind you, this is the part of the show my mum watches.
I meant her upper lip and a bottom lip.
Technically correct, perhaps.
One lip, two lip. Max,
yeah?
Sesame Street. I learned that on Sesame Street.
Nice cover.
Wow, your parents suck if you learn that on Sesame Street.
What? Say that again about Jill. Go on. Yeah, exactly.
Forbidden law.
Ollie on with the show.
What? Yes? Sorry, Dean, you're incredibly quiet.
Yeah, you think
so I wasn't ignoring you. I was just I was like, I'm sorry, is that a moth nearby?
We can't hear you at all, Dean, if you're making any noise there.
Ollie on with the show, Ollie.
Oh, thank you, Dean Cuddy.
Go.
Like a
so
pigeon, like go free.
We're back in Cornucopia. Y'all are back home after a long time in the city, which was terrible. But you learnt a lot, and you got some plans. Kind of, not really. And are now back at your village of Cornucopia for the winter. But you have a plan. Kind of, you've only just got back, and we're going to be continuing, like, only a handful of days after you got back. But it seemed your plan of action was to go and gather support from the other peoples of the valley before either the dragon attacks or the minotaur attacks. Both seem very likely. There is a tension in the valley for the minotaur forces that are under the dragon's sway have moved and are moving and are setting up on the other side of the river. It's only a matter of time before they do attack or do something. They don't seem peaceful.
Yeah, I think the plan was to go in the direction of the gnomes, check in with them. On the way, we'd sort of see if we get the Grayling on side, and then the Aarakocra were the other side of the of Clearkeep.
Yes.
Yeah. Also, so because I have just been remembering it, and I want to make sure I do not forget again. We got some healing potions that Dean will need to add some to inventory.
That's a good point. 2 regular and 1 greater, if I remember correctly.
That is.
You got gifted a large cache of potions by the leader of Shinebank.
Hold on, I left myself a note here to let me find it.
That's right. Richter spent the last week getting licked by cows.
On which lips?
Oh my god. And before, like, as we got home, before we shoot forward in time, I would have presented the tools to Griff. And
you already did that.
I would have had a conversation with Torin as well about the silver acorn.
Feel free, because, well, this is whether, so, exactly, like, the moment of time we ended on, you'd already given the tools to Griff, and everyone's kind of gone and seen their loved ones and whatnot. And Torin had just found out about the reality of the silver acorn. Hasn't told anyone yet. But I don't know if he would either immediately. The reality being, the silver acorn that was also given to you by Shinebank holds great power and can be planted into some kind of spirit tree that can purify the land. Or can be consumed for a great nature magic for a shorter time, or turned into immortality potions or something. It can be consumed for a greater temporary bonus, rather than a long-term commitment, like planting a tree.
Amaryllis had previously, based off an identify, made the party aware that it was very potent magic stuff. So Torin just has confirmed to himself what it does precisely, or can do.
Balara would not know all the stuff that Ollie just said, but would know all the stuff that Ian just said.
Yes.
And would approach Torin about it.
Like as he's leaving Leha's, before he can go to bed. Because I'm pretty sure he was like, I'm going to go to bed after that.
Sorry.
Yeah, no sleep for the wicked.
I've been thinking about the silver acorn.
Right.
I think you ought to let me show it to Reggie.
I mean, I suppose it might do something.
We promised that we would look after the forest in exchange for him looking after us. So if there's anything that he could use it for, I would like to grant him that opportunity.
Leia says it can be used for a lot of different things. Leia says it can be consumed, or planted, or made into something else. What if Reggie eats it?
Then I imagine he would do so to the benefit of the forest.
I don't know whether you've noticed, Belle, but we're not the forest. So, in tune as we might be, the benefit of the forest doesn't always mean the benefit of us.
It does, though. We've lived off of this forest since our families came here.
Torin will pull out the acorn, hold it out for Belle's palm, and say,
"And the forest is smaller than when our parents came here."
And place it in the palm of your hand.
Would you like to come with me?
I'm not going to watch you throw away our chance. If it works, great. If not, I'd like some rest before the Minotaur rushes.
I'll let you know how it goes then. And she would trot off to Reggie.
Would you bring anyone else with you?
Nope.
Okay. Coffee sip for emotional roleplay.
Ooh,
Perhaps.
good call.
Yes, right?
Red. I forgot.
Oh, this is frigging started intense.
I was gonna say, yeah, for those who don't remember, as you're traveling, it's kind of northwest from the village where the forest is, which now that you have a wall of greenery and plant life is less of a stark border. But Reggie is the name that Balara gave unknowingly some kind of powerful nature spirit. This elder spirit is the spirit of the forest that has been corrupted. But the spirit is not corrupted. And actually helped you in building the wall with kind of a gift of spiritual power. You have quite a powerful bond with it because many reasons. Watch the show. Go back in the tapes. I ain't gonna tell you everything.
The Cliff Notes version of it is that Balara, ever since she was very little, was pretty self-sufficient, ran around in the forest a bunch, is kind of a survivalist, and she noticed that this tree looked kind of humanoid in a very abstract way, and she would talk to it.
Yeah.
The end.
Getting through the forest is effortless. Something that even you would notice without any kind of roll is that the corruption of the forest is somewhat less prevalent, especially around the edge nearer the green wall. But it is completely different because it is also the middle of winter, and the middle of winter here means a lot of snow. I described this before, that the trees hang low and the forest is quiet aside from the occasional crunching of something stepping on leaves far away, that kind of atmosphere. Which might be even more melancholy when you're holding something very powerful in your hand that is the size of an acorn. The tree elder spirit, the elder spirit of the forest, rests in a little, barely even a grove. And it's slightly surreal coming back here because this tree that you saw for all its time is now in an ever so slightly different pose because it was slumbering for your entire childhood, leaning upon basically itself in a very weird tree-like way. And it's still resting. It's sitting half in the ground. Actually, not so much in the ground, because the ground's kind of been stirred up. But it is slightly surreal, because this place has been burned into your memory, and he's there, but not exactly. It's slightly uncanny. But the spirit of the forest is there, heavily blanketed in snow, emotionlessly sitting, slumbering.
I would brush the snow off of his face and then take a couple steps back and say, I hate to disturb your slumber 2 times in one human's lifetime, but I think I have something that you'd like to see, something that might help the forest. I'll hold out the acorn.
Aha. You see the ever so slight shifting of bark. Again, I mean, you have a dryad in your party, so it's actually not that surreal to you. The way that the bark of a tree-like being moves almost like the muscles within someone's face. The eyes open to just a kind of amberish tone. They're not quite human, they're not quite anything else. They're not even really like Amaryllis is. And something that's clear is that, despite the fact you've always talked to it, doesn't one-to-one understand, but it can definitely tell the emotion in your voice, right? Mm-hmm. When you bring up the silver acorn, the eyes slowly drift down, but then he moves very quickly. Moving from a kind of leaning position, leaning on the hillocks and upturned trees in the area, very quickly moving to a kneel, which doesn't really make it any shorter, but it's a very deliberate, very regal motion of etiquette that he gives.
I'll do the same. I'll place a knee in the snow and just hold it out towards him. And bow my head.
Revelry.
You hear the tree of the spirit of the forest say things in Elder Sylvan. The sound creeping and cracking around you like those sounds of animals deep in the forest. You don't understand the words, but they're not furious, maybe perhaps curious. And there is that there's a sort of tense tension, and he does reach out a long fingered hand as if to take it, but doesn't kind of assume that he can.
I'll scoop it towards him to imply, yes, take it.
The eyebrows kind of crinkle inwards in a kind of unsure expression. But the spirit of the forest takes an acorn from you and kind of clutches it into the hand. And then you just don't see the hand open again. It kind of almost looks like the acorn kind of went, inside the bark. And he slowly stands a little firmer. Just like when Amaryllis takes root kind of from the legs, from the ankles, roots do twist and move. And then probably for the next few moments where you await something to happen, nothing does. And it's kind of clear that it has stopped.
Okay. On my way back to the village, I'll just kind of brush a hand against the tree and just really lightly, like as I'm passing, and maybe pause for a second and go.
Mm-hmm. Something you actually notice when you glance back as you're going is that standing at its full height, the spirit of the forest actually is above the tree canopy.
Canopy? Okay.
Yeah, you can kind of see like a titan. It's standing almost watchfully, but the eyes are closed. So, not exactly.
She's like, I should have brought Amaryllis.
Yeah, I did. That's why I was like,
Curious.
do you want to bring the tree when you go talk to a tree?
I would find Amaryllis.
I imagine
and
Amaryllis
tell her what
would be.
happened.
Usually, Amaryllis, when you rest by the lodge. So, if there's even a possibility that Richter may see you, as that is where he hangs with his sweet honey, especially after coming back to the city or to the village from the city. But you tell Amaryllis what happened, that the spirit of the forest took the acorn, the silver acorn.
And I mimic the language as best I can, too. That I
Oh! That's going to be an insight roll from
Sure.
you, from Amaryllis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not great. Amriz will say, as like she's, because I'm assuming I can't get anything from that. Amriz will say, if you wish, I can accompany you back to stand before the forest. My sight into the flow is not perfect, but it may reveal some words.
Can you not get all up in here and just kind of see it?
The seeing into the past relies on being in the place the event took place.
Okay. Right this way.
And back to the forest.
Back to the forest. But really, this is a really good idea. This is kind of a thing you could only do with an oracle in your party to return to the scene of the crime and look back in time.
Yeah.
And while Amaryllis is looking back in time, I'll probably like build a campfire and just like get cozy and
'cause it
hang
is-
out with Reggie for the night.
It is night and winter, so yeah, that's a good idea, especially as you don't know how long Amaryllis is going to take.
Maybe build a little igloo.
Yeah, I mean, it could be like half camp, half igloo, why not? A slightly strange thing happens when you feel into the flow, Amaryllis. Outwardly, the same thing happens. The flowers bloom and you stare into space. The sorry, Neil made like the reference of Reggie being Liberty Prime, which was exactly what I was thinking when you said that he just left. Imagine him just taking off and just leaving. But strange things happen, Amaryllis, and retrocognition is very different to precognition anyway. It's in some ways more vague, but also more clear in different ways. When you look backwards, and you know it's not going to be that far back, because Belle was just here, and you see Belle leaving with her hand on the side of the spirit of the forest, and then the whole thing taking place. Her giving the acorn to Reggie. You see it backwards, basically. But when you see her leave and the snow is still, her footprints slooped away by her backwards walking. The still slumbering right now spirit of the tree, the eyes open and look to you, Amaryllis, and ask, in Elder Sylvan, of course, what are you looking for with the gifts you are given?
My companion could not understand the words you spoke, O Forest. I deigned to try to glean what transpired here.
Words have little meaning.
What would you have imparted to her?
I asked if she knew what she gave. Since the creation of my forebears, goddess trees created by Gira have been a tether that holds this world together, spiritually, physically.
What would you do with what you were given?
Apotheosis.
This is where I have to quickly Google what it means.
If I am
Ascension to a
correct,
god.
it means
To a
ascension to a god, yes.
Yes, yeah. It's one of those words I've seen like so many times. I don't actually know what it means. Okay.
I know.
Amaryllis is like I kind of imagine like Amaryllis's mouth would probably be moving in reality, but like no words would be coming out. And like if Belle was watching at that moment, like Amaryllis's eyes widen slightly. But she's obviously not communicating with reality at that point. She's communicating in the past. If that is how the flow wills it, then so be it. I only hope that it is for the best for this valley and its inhabitants.
I will purge the poison from this place and become a tether as other tethers across this globe wane in their power and wilt. This valley will remain.
At that, Amaris will just nod slowly and come back out of the vision.
Out of the past.
Out of the past.
To you were in the past speaking to the spirit of the forest, basically slumbering, to it now standing very presently, right? Not in a kind of as a tree would fall in a forest, right? And Belle with her little camp and all that sort of thing.
Yeah. Amrose just stares up at Spirit for a good few minutes and will then move near about.
What did it say?
I did not witness your conversation. I held my own conversation. Your friend is simultaneously at many points in the flow, I suspect.
Makes sense.
The acorn, a seed for a goddess tree that tethers this world, that holds it together. The forest will take its power and ascend, and in doing so intends to purge the poison from this land and hold it together as a protector, as do the other trees that have grown from such acorns.
So I did the right thing.
With such matters, it is difficult to say if there is right and wrong, but what you did will not bring harm to this land, that much is certain.
Torin's still gonna be furious.
Well, if you wish to delay returning, it seems you have set up a lovely camp for the night.
Good and warm. I'll walk you back if you like.
No, I will rest here. It has been long since I stood among my distant relatives.
She'll just smile at you and lay down and get cozy.
Got a spoon with the birch. I imagine there's no way we can boop into the future because, well, actually, it could be very likely that Torin and Belara ignore each other instead of actually directly addressing this.
Belara's not much of an ignorer. I do think that the next morning she would go and talk to him, and she would tell him that what happened. She would tell him what happened and say it's going to purge the poison from the land.
Leha said the goddess tree could do that if it was planted.
Well, I think we got a head start.
Let's hope we're here to see it.
I should have brought Amaryllis in the first place. I apologize for not making this decision together.
You never do, Belle. Torin walks off towards the central hut to get some food.
That's unfair. Belara definitely consults everybody before making big decisions.
Yeah, but Torin, as a character, is not always fair, is he? Who is?
That's true. All right.
Shut up, blue boy.
Wait,
He's
I'm
not
blue now.
who.
What happened last week?
All right.
I was
Grumpy.
hoping that conversation was taking place like across the counter. Like Richter was chopping a root on, and he was like,
Well, similar in a way, because you would see Torin stomp up to the kitchen, and you would probably see Balara in the distance, like upset about
Just shooting arrows into the ground, like fucking okay.
then picking them back up again. Like, you could tell that they had not an argument, but like you could tell that something went on, whether you wish to address it, Richter.
A professional disagreement.
Professional disagreement. There is a wise saying in your community that from the kitchen you can see everything. This is very much true in this case.
No, I think Richter would just carry on. He's not particularly nosy.
Fair enough. So, how would you want to go about your plan to visit the other people of the valley then? Team?
I would want to catch up with Gale and see if he's found anything new about those ruins that we should know. And kind of act as a liaison between him and Leha as well.
Yeah. Gale's been exploring. He'll you'll come to him probably at the cave where he's actually set up a little bit of a space for himself amongst the farming equipment. Actually, well, I have found goblins down there.
Really?
And they came in through some other crack in the earth. They're not going to be any sort of problem, but something to keep an eye on.
Have they been living there?
Oh, no, they're not living in the city. They are living in their own little space. It's just connected. They're not even scavenging from it. I just sort of stumbled upon them. In some places, the rock is not as strong as you'd imagine, but I found great plans of the place. A war happened there, I'm sure of it.
And have you been scavenging?
There are bits and pieces.
Any
Not
books?
enough. Any paper has faded. Any stone, if there was anything written on stone. If there's any water that could have trickled into the room, it has eroded away. But I have been finding things quite unusual, and will bring out from his sort of stacks of things. This is like in that city in Skyrim where it's like, oh, here's the person who explores the ruins, and he's got the hut with all the automata. But he brings out what is a metal cylinder, and around that cylinder in a reel is some kind of film. This flimsy, transparentish film that has little holes cut in it. He says that it's similar to something that I've been finding in the heads of the constructs you've been destroying when you were down there. They have these discs, like compares. It's like a cardboard disc, and then there's like this translucent film. I don't know at all what that means or what it's for, but I'll imagine there's a way to read them somewhere.
I think perhaps it's time for you to speak to Leha.
Your old woman.
She might have
No.
some insight.
Terrifying.
Absolutely.
I do not consort with terrifying women.
Hey. She'll snatch the film and be like, "Fine, I'll go show her."
No, hey, no, that's important. That might be delicate for all we know. And we'll like run off after you. Whoop to Leha's hut. Like, I have no idea what this is. I've never seen anything like this before in my life.
What if you guessed, Leha?
Some kind of book? It's definitely a way of recording something. And if this one was inside a machine's head, like the one that motions to in the corner of the hut, is the cleaner that you brought in, the cleaner droid. It's got the basket upside down on it. I imagine that this is like a brain. All the dealy bops and cogs most likely punch and click and read. But this string is... I have no earthly idea. I'm a woman of nature. All of this is not my expertise.
I will consult others, and I will let you know what I find.
As you're leaving, because you have to kind of like scoop under the entrance to Leha's hut, you just straight up bump into Oscar, who's like about to enter. And he steps back, politely, as he should, to allow you to leave. But then does say, like, look at you, and kind of look around and then say, "And what business are you ferrying around so quickly, Balara?"
Hugs, lots of hugs. I missed everyone. And then I'll hold up the film.
You get like it very much he's like he's about to say something, maybe chastise you, but then is just slightly curious about what that is. Gnomish.
Yeah, found in the ruins, in the machines.
If you are to travel to Clearkeep and see about the... I paused for it. And see about the... worm-tongued lord, and perhaps they'll be able to give you more answers than anyone in the village. I would encourage you and Torun and Richter and the good tree to see to the gnomes as quick as possible. The Minotaur across the river, we can see their camp now. It's only a matter of days.
Okay. She'll give him a playful little smile, quick hug, and then yep. And find Amaryllis.
Where is Amaryllis? Where is Amaryllis?
Amaryllis is standing in her normal place, being a tray, as she does.
At this point, your normal place has, like, decorated stones in a ring around it from, like, village children.
Fair.
That's adorable. I love that so much. We need to find the others. I have brains.
Amaryllis, like, very slow tilt of her head and slight nod, and sort of starts moving in the direction that she last saw the others, and probably ends up just going to a lodge
the lodge.
Find. Yeah, couldn't think of a word. Probably to find Richter first, because we know where Richter is cooking, because that's what Richter does now.
It's what he does now.
It's what he does.
Have you seen Torun? It's time we had a meeting.
Oren would definitely still be like in the corner of that hut, like mulling over his like he's not got his usual appetite. He's just mulling over this bowl of stew.
Yeah, I'm about to respond.
That
when
makes
you hear the
me
clank.
upset. Finding out that someone doesn't have appetite because they're sad, it, like, hits me in the heart.
Yes.
Can you take a break?
Of course, if it's important.
It's
Picks up
important.
his apron, folds it perfectly, cleanly, crisp.
Throw the butcher's knife at the table and it just.
Oh Jesus!
No,
But just
I
nice
don't
that
know.
he's like using to spoon stew.
I'm cooking.
He's just stirring it with his spear.
That is good.
Yeah, I step out from behind the counter and sit down.
Torin, Gail's found something interesting.
Right? He'd like look up.
And I would hand him the film and I would say, "You think it's Robo Brains?
What?
You know, the
It's inside of the
Mechanical.
machines.
The clockwork
in their heads.
contraptions.
yes,
Oh, those things.
that's Leha's best guess anyway."
What good is it?
Well, I mean, we can find out information about the Gnomish ruins and about what these automatons are capable of, and maybe if we can use those ruins to fortify, or maybe if there's weapons somewhere, big weapons, siege weapons.
I mean, weapons would be great.
This is wishful thinking, but perhaps. I imagine those things would be automated with this kind of technology, don't you?
If they were automated, surely they'd have put something like that on their defenses, on their gates.
Right, but don't you think that
We haven't
These
found their
things-
gates. I have no idea where the entrance is. We're not going in through the front door. We're going in through... We're going in through a way that will get you kicked out of most brothels this part of the world.
tips?
How do we read the film?
Well, we need to go to Shinebank.
Look, I think it's interesting. It is. But there's a bloody warband on our doorstep. And quite frankly, we
Or
can't
Clear
stop
Keep.
them.
Sorry, she said Clear Keep, not Shinebank. I'm an idiot. Sorry.
If we go to Clearkeep, we should go there to get an army.
We can do both.
One of these is important. The other's a flimsy piece of I don't know what, and he chucks it to the side.
Catch it. And say, look, this might be able to help us against the army.
It
we can
might,
do both at the same time.
but soldiers can help us. We should focus our efforts on getting them.
Don't think we need all four of us to get this army.
I think you'll find we might. Last time we were there, we did become slaves after all. If the king, nice fellow that he is not in power, he could be locked up. If he lost that power struggle, well, we need to shave off the top, so to speak. Put him back on in its place.
We had intended to find and bring allies together anyway. If we travel along the river, possibly if the opportunity presents itself, speak to some of the otter folk and make it to Clearkeep, then we can achieve this. And if one of their number has ways to read this device, we can look, but it may be too late to make anything substantial of it.
We better get going. We don't have much time.
It may behoove us to miss the Aarakocra entirely, unless they are very nearby, because we are short on time as it is.
And they are the least likely to join us.
They are a pleasant folk. They might be easily convinced. The issue would more be the time it takes to find them, I suspect.
So, we're in agreement.
Oh, I was wrong. The Gwailings are the ones that don't like us. My bad.
What if we all went to Clearkeep? And if things go well, we split up. 2 of us head for the Aarakocra, and the other 3 head for the Gwailings.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so you're going to take Gale along with you?
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
guess.
Well, you said the other 3, which is like, aha, you're bringing Gale, which is
More
totally
DMPCs for Ollie.
Nothing wrong with having a regular bard, aside from this isn't a Monday game, so Gale doesn't have a stat sheet. But that's fine. You can start. Is there anything else you'd want to do before you head out?
I would
me.
check to see if Griff had that bow for me yet.
Ooh, it has been less than a day, so no.
Oh.
But he's working at it now. Like, he's crafting it. It's
Okay.
like, you come back at dusk or tomorrow. It won't take long, but I need to do it right.
Agreed. Well, I'm off.
Pew! And you can start heading out. As you start heading towards Clearkeep, luckily it's not snowing hard. First, you get the view of the forest, and the spirit of the forest is now standing above it, which, of course, Torin and Richter haven't seen. And then once you pass that, you can see across the river, quite clearer now that you're not like in the village. On the other side of the river, where the water flows dark, is tents. Not even so much. You can't guess the number by the tents, because you can tell that a lot of the Minotaur don't have any kind of shelter, but you can see the signs of them. You can see rough palisades, you can see their trash pits, things like that. You can see their activity on the other side of the river quite evidently. That it is obvious that they are planning to besiege you. And yeah, you have a wall now, admittedly, but it's a big thing coming. With that, this is a good place to break off and take a little breaky brew. You can decide if there's anything you want to do sort of during the journey or conversations you want to have when we get back.
Sure.
And we'll be back in a bit.